Hello book lovers, and welcome back or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today I am here to do my November TBR. Alright guys, so the second to last month of the year is fast approaching. I just can't believe that this year is already almost over, but we are gonna go ahead and play my TBR game Lezen Agedischt this time around. This is based off of Mensch Agedisch nicht, which is pretty much a part cheesy. As always, I will go ahead and link the playlist up above, which does include a instruction video. Just a heads up, there is the original instruction video, but then back in I think August, I did film a updated version, so that's the one you will want to look at. But you can also watch previous games, and the game's not too hard to get a hold of, so you can go ahead and just jump right in without any issues. I'm not taking part in any other readathons or book clubs or read-alongs or anything like that this month. I don't have too much going on. We are doing a tiny bit of traveling kind of in the middle of the month to pop down to California to visit some family, and then my birthday and Thanksgiving is obviously happening towards the end of the month, and I know my sister is going to come down from the city to visit us, so there may be a few days here and there where I am spending more time with a family than reading, but that is okay. Since I mentioned that my birthday is this month, I just want to put in a quick plug. Obviously no obligations, no expectations. I just want to say it. I'm going to mention it once and I'm not going to mention it again. And that is that I'm going to try and remember to open my wish list as of November 1st. And I will go ahead and link that down below. I believe this video will be up slightly before then, but I'm just gonna have it open November through the end of December. So obviously just happy to have you here, but just wanted to put that out there, and we're gonna move on now. Before we get into the first rolls of the game, we need to see if we are going to start the game off with a punishment or a reward, and we're going to go ahead and see if I completed my September TBR. For my first roll, I got a contemporary, and it had to be a YA or middle grade, and I ended up selecting an audiobook, which is This Is Kind of an Epic Love Story by Kaysen Callender, and I did complete this book. The next prompt was a romance from my own TBR, and I chose Eden by Lily Mayne, and I did complete this. Next was another romance, and that was To Scroll on Goodreads. Technically, the first romance I came across was Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I'm actually currently listening to because it just now became available to me, hence why I ended up choosing a plan B for this prompt, which was Stuck With You, the second novella in the Loath to Love You trilogy by Ali Hazelwood, and I did read that. And then we had another romance, and this was to be a hyped book, and I chose Heaven Official's Blessing by Mo Xiang Tong Shui, and I did complete that. And the final prompt was a historical story featuring an animal on the cover, and I chose The Women of Troy by Pat Barker and did complete this. Since I completed all the books on my September TBR, I will be starting this off with a reward. So we'll go ahead and go over to Natalie by the game board, and she will select the reward as well as do roll number 1. All right, guys, so we are going to start with our reward. Let's go ahead and if we can open this baggie. Shake, shake, shake. And pull out this guy, a long one. Okay, exchange for a mood read. Okay, so that's a good one. And let's go ahead and get into roll number 1 out of 5. A sci-fi. 4. So this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a sci-fi that is written by a Black female author. All right, so we are starting this month off with a sci-fi, and this book needs to be written by a Black female author, and boy, do I know what book I'm going to read for that, and that is the second book in the Inheritance trilogy, The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is shelved under sci-fi fantasy, and I'm taking it. I read the first book back in December of 2022, so it has been almost a year since I read the first book in this pretty high sci-fi fantasy story, and I have a feeling I'm gonna struggle a little bit to get back into it since it has been so long. This is obviously the bind-up version, but you can kind of see those two little tabs, and that is the portion that I will be reading. It is a little under 400 pages, I believe. In the first book, we were following a woman who is the daughter of a woman who had abdicated the throne to a very powerful royal family. I call them that. They always say that they're not, a royal family or anything like that, but they very much act as if they are. And she abdicated this throne to marry a man from a poorer country, and so they were kind of ostracized, and the kingdom itself that she moved to was very much ostracized by the other kingdoms that were trying to get the favor of this powerful family. One day after both her mother and father are long gone, she receives a message from her grandfather saying that he would like her to come to the capital. When she arrives, he states that he wants her to take part in I don't want to call it trial or competition because I don't want you to get the wrong idea of what this book is, but kind of to take part in the fight for the throne against her two cousins. She obviously doesn't have any interest in doing this. She is not prepared to do this. She doesn't know about the politics of this capital or this kingdom, and she doesn't have any allies in this kingdom either, so she would like to refuse but unfortunately does not have the option to do so. Luckily for her, she stumbles across some allies within this capital, and those are gods that the family are keeping prisoner. I literally have no idea what the second book is about. I haven't read the synopsis. Based off where the first story ends, it really could go anywhere, so I'm just gonna jump into it blind and see if I can remember who the characters are and I remember some of the major plot points. But that's about it. It's gonna be a rough ride, but we're gonna power through. I believe in us. Rolling on to roll number 2 out of 5. A historical and a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A historical with a city setting. Roll number 2 was a historical, and this is to be in a city setting. So for this, I have gone ahead and selected A Perilous Undertaking by Dana Rayborn. This is the second book in the Veronica Speedwell series, and it is set in London, 1887 to be specific, so definitely has a city setting. In this series, we are following Veronica, and after her guardian passes away, she is ready to set out into the world and study butterflies and travel and just live as a happy single woman. But that is kind of put to a stop when a man shows up and tells her that she is in danger. This becomes a reality when that man ends up dead, and she and this man's friend, who he has placed her with for protection, set out to try to solve his murder. In this book, it seems that we are trying to save a man from execution. A woman that is part of an organization of curious women that Veronica is a part of has asked her to save this man from execution. Seems he's innocent, and Veronica is trying to solve out who probably committed the actual crime, as well as trying to figure out the mystery of the woman who made the request. I had quite a bit of fun with book one, so I am excited to go ahead and continue with the series. I think that Veronica and I forgot the name of the guy, but I thought they had really a great banter, a really great friendship that definitely has the potential to bloom into something more. So I think this kind of historical mystery story will be a great book to read this November. And we're, whoa, okay, very eager to be a fantasy. Roll number 3 out of 5. I don't know if you see him. 6. So just a reminder, if I roll a 6 or a 5, I need to go ahead and pull out another player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the prompt is a location in the title. All right, so rule number 3 was a fantasy, and this is to have a location in the title. And for this, I have decided to select Heaven Official's Blessing, Volume 5 by Mo Xiang Tong Xiu. This has the word heaven in it. Heaven is a location, technically, not one you want to go to until you're ready, I guess. But this is obviously the 5th book in this series. I have definitely been enjoying it more since volume 3. It had a bit of a slow start for me, but we are fully invested at this point. I am definitely trying to read at least one a month, just the way that this series is laid out. If you have been on my channel, you have heard me say it, and you will hear me say it again. This series was originally a online story, kind of just to be read in one fell swoop, you know, chapter by chapter by chapter. But as they published it in physical volumes, I don't know how much thought they put into where they break the story. So sometimes the books don't have natural breaks in between them, so if you wait too long to pick up the next one, you can feel a little bit lost. So I'm definitely trying to get to at least one a month so that I don't forget anything that happened in the previous book. This story follows Shilon, and Shilon is a god who ascended at the age of 17. He is actually at the beginning of this series in his 3rd ascension. He had some trouble in his past that we get to explore throughout the series that caused him to fall from heaven a couple of times, but this round he is kind of trying to stay under the radar, kind of keep it chill, stay out of trouble. Is that working? Not even a little bit. He's living in the mortal realm at a small shrine that he has built for himself, and he takes on missions where he goes out to kind of fight ghosts that are wreaking havoc on the mortal realm. He also has the help of Sun Long, also known as Hao Cheng, who is one of the most powerful and feared ghost kings in the realm. And Hao Cheng has very strong feelings for Shilon. They definitely have some sort of history that you can kind of guess at, but it hasn't fully been revealed yet or anything like that, but they are definitely getting closer and closer throughout the series. This is a very slow burn male-male romance, and I have been having a really great time. It is rather dark at times, I would say, even though it looks very light and fun, so just a heads up for that. But super excited to get back to these characters. This book or this series makes me laugh quite a bit. Roll number 4 out of 5. Another fantasy. This one's a 2, so I can move either of these. Let's move the guy that's further ahead, and let's pick up this piece of paper. Starts with A or the. On to roll number 4, and we got another fantasy, and this one, whoops, that is the wrong side. And this one needs to start with the word A or the word the. And I have gone ahead and selected a Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and this is kind of a Dracula retelling. It is a epistolary, I believe is what they call it when it's in letter format, because I believe we are reading a letter that one of his wives wrote about why she had to kill him. And so we kind of explore her relationship with Dracula, which was very abusive, unfortunately, as well as her relationship with his other brides and grooms throughout the many, many years that they lived together. I've heard primarily good things about this story, especially with its writing, so I'm kind of hoping to maybe annotate it. I don't annotate too often, mostly because I don't want to ruin the book with my ugly annotations kind of situation, but we'll see with writing that's supposedly this beautiful. I might just make an exception. And for our final roll, 5 out of 5. A romance. A 4, so we have to move this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh god, these can be so hard. Author with the same initials as me. So we'll see what I can do with that. With romance, probably not much. And finally, we got a romance, and this was to be written by an author that had the same initials as me. Now, I kind of sorted my want to read list by author, and I literally had 2 options, and neither of them were romance novels, so I am actually going to go ahead and get rid of that prompt, because obviously I want prompts that I can apply to more than 2 books kind of situation. And for this round, I will go ahead and have to use my reward already to exchange it for a mood read. The book that I'm exchanging it for is a book I have been very excited to read. In fact, I said I was going to read it this month, whether or not it made it on my TBR, so I'm very happy it did get on my TBR, and that is Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Chapeko. This is not an author I have read from before, but I have seen more and more people picking this up recently and have heard pretty much only positive reviews, so very excited to finally be getting to it. In this book, we are following a vampire hunter who is rumored to possibly also be half vampire due to his mother running away with her vampire lover, I believe. And this society is seeing the rise of a new breed of a vampire that seems to be a lot more dangerous than the current breed. And so he is setting out to kill this breed and probably also to figure out exactly where they're coming from, and he ends up getting the help of a vampire couple. So this woman and man end up joining him on his hunt, and they end up starting a bit of a polyamorous relationship. So I'm very, very excited for the gory vampire aspect of it, as well as the queer aspect of it. Just as a little bit of a teaser, I am planning on doing a polyamorous vampire vlog. This is a vlog I've been wanting to do with these 2 books for quite a while, so I'm really hoping that it turns out good and that you guys enjoy it. So those are all the rolls for my TBR game, but I do have 3 other books that I want to add to this. 2 of them are for the Magical Aurelium prompts. This is hosted by Book Roast, and there's kind of an annual challenge or adventure board that you can follow that I'm taking part in. I have 2 prompts for that this month because I DNF'd the book that I selected for last month's prompt and never replaced it. So I do need to do both prompts this month in order to catch up. So what last month's prompt was stargazing, I believe, and it was to read a book with stars on the cover. I was originally going to read Sundial by Katrina Ward, and DNF that book like relatively quickly, less than 50% through, so I couldn't count it. And I will be reading the audiobook Hunting by Stars by Sherry Dimeline. This is actually an audiobook I meant to read, I think, earlier in October, but a bunch of my holds started coming in, so it kind of got shoved to the back of the line. This is kind of a horror written by an Indigenous author. It does focus on the concept of residential schools, which is where Indigenous children were forced to go to be assimilated into kind of a white culture and removed from their own people. In this case, it is in a post-apocalyptic setting. I guess I'm just feeling post-apocalyptic books because I read a couple of those in October. And we are following a world where people are no longer able to dream, and so they're no longer able to build up their society. The government realizes that indigenous people can still dream, and so they send them to these schools where they can harvest those dreams. I have not read this author. I haven't heard anything about this book, but I am very intrigued to see where it goes. The next prompt for this month is to read a book in a winter setting. This one I struggled with a little bit because sometimes it's hard to know when a book is set, if it is set in a specific season, but I went with Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney just because the cover is snowy, so I'm assuming it's set in a winter time. This seems to be a thriller story where we follow a couple whose marriage is a bit on the rocks. The husband actually suffers from face blindness, meaning that he cannot recognize people based off of their faces, including his wife. They kind of win this short, I think it's only like a weekend long, or is it a week long? A short trip to Scotland in a relatively isolated setting, and they're hoping to maybe fix up their marriage there. However, it seems that they didn't win this trip just out of pure luck, but someone wants them to be there so that their lies can be exposed. I have to admit it's been a while since I've heard anything about this book, so I can't remember if it was mostly positive or mostly negative. My expectations for it are middle of the road, but it is set in a winter setting, so that's why it's here. The final book I want to get to is just a series that I've been kind of chugging my way through and would like to continue. This one is just a novella, so that's why I'm hoping I could just squeeze it in there, and that is Win by Lily Mayne. This is a book, what would it be, 3.5 I guess, and this follows the couple in the first book, which is Soul Eater. In Soul Eater, we are following Win, the Soul Eater, who is a monster, and Danny, who is a young man who is in the military. The series follows characters in post-apocalyptic America, post-apocalyptic, yep, here we are again. And 20 years ago, a rift opened between our world and another world, and a bunch of monsters came into our world. And in their attempt to destroy all those monsters, the military ended up kind of destroying the world. So humans either live in large enclosed cities where there's a lot of poverty and starvation, overcrowding. There's also military bases. The military has a lot of power in the country now. Or you can also become a raider, meaning you live out in the wastes, which is a area of the world kind of abandoned by mankind and run by the monsters. As I mentioned, Danny was part of the military, but in the first book, he and Win end up escaping the military base that has captured Win, and we follow their romance throughout that. Obviously, it being a romance, I don't think it's a spoiler for me to say they end up together and are very much in love. But Win, being a soul eater, has lived for thousands of years and will continue to live for thousands of years, something Danny will not do. And he very much wants his lover to live as long as him so he doesn't have to lose him. So the two of them, I believe, travel through the rift to the monsters world to see if they can extend Danny's lifespan. So I still think that they are my favorite couple. Actually, I know they are my favorite couple to date, and so I'm very excited to return to them, and hopefully I can pop in this novella. It's only 150 pages, so fingers crossed. Alright guys, so here are the physical books and then the 2 audiobooks for the Magical Brilliant prompts were Rock, Paper, Scissors, as well as Hunting the Stars. So I think it is manageable. This bind up is making it look probably a bit more intimidating than it is. Just a reminder, this is only slightly under 400 pages, so nothing crazy. I am very happy with this TBR. These 2 books were the ones I definitely wanted to get on there, and I did, and also have quite a few series continuations. I am taking part in Daniela's Seriously series challenge. I'm just gonna pop up what my board looks like right now. I don't know if you can read it that well because it's probably a bit too small, but this is just to kind of help you work on your series. This is going through the end of the year, so I will go ahead and link that announcement down below in case you want to join. There's still plenty of time. With that being said, I definitely am glad that I'm prioritizing some series this month so that I can make my way further down that board. Alright guys, let me know down below what books you are hoping to prioritize this month. As always, thank you so much for your support by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!